Hello, wonderful friends. It's time once again for another story. This is from Reddit user Babbsy-kun. I like your name. A Tale of Two Beards. Or how two neckbeards teamed up to ruin my already failing middle school career. Yeesh. Hello, Moonhorse and the Moonherd. Hello. Long-time lurker, first-time poster. I've recently fallen down a rabbit hole of Reddit neckbeard stories, and long-repressed memories of beards past have resurfaced in my mind. I must purge the beardy filth from my soul, so I decided to share it with all of you. I'm glad you did. A point of order here before I begin. I am a female-to-male transgendered man, but at the time of these stories, I had no idea of this. My femaleness at the time plays a major role in my relationships with these two neckbeards that I'll be talking about. So a short cast of characters: Baz, myself, at the time a 13-year-old weird girl, wore the same jeans and sweatshirt for days on end and was barely making it through middle school, just entering my emo and anime phase and obsessed with all things nerdy. Prime neckbeard bait, I know. Tom, beard 1. No real beard, but smelled like a trash compactor. Same age as me, came from a really rich family, so was dressed in nice enough clothes, because I can only assume that his mother dressed him every day. Literal sexual predator, but we'll get to that later. Oh, lovely! How wonderful. Jake, beard number 2. Also no real beard, but he did have the tendency to let his weird wispy mustache grow longer than it should between shaves. A year ahead of Tom and myself, and a little obsessed with me. He liked to MLP, Doctor Who, wore the same beat-up navy blue hoodie every single day that I saw him. Allow me to set the scene. America, way down south, in an area of North Florida that votes red and bleeds redder. I think I know the area. I was but a humble, confused queer kid living in a tiny town and going to an even tinier school. My middle and high school were both honor schools, meaning that any kids in town who passed the entrance exam and had a portfolio of impressive enough school papers from elementary school could go to that school, and the rest would have to go to the poorly managed general high school. This, of course, was an excuse for segregation in this still very racist town. I know places like that, too. There were only about 10 black kids in my class of over 100 people. This allowed us to be isolated, and it shaped the way we thought about race in a major way. I mention this only because Tom and Jake have both failed out of the honors program, so they spent half of their days in the general high school, which, if you ask them, was more of a prison than a school. Classy. They met on the bus between schools, and as weirdos do, drifted together and became fast friends. They formed a bond of beardiness that could not be broken. This is where I come in. Having just been pushed out of the main female friend group in my grade when I came out as bi, I was left pretty much alone. I'm sorry to hear that. I had a few acquaintances, mostly older kids in the drama program that I was involved in, who felt bad about my isolation. I'm not gonna lie, it was a rough time. I was struggling with my identity, and I had no friends to support me. My dad had recently been arrested for theft, and my family was under enough stress as it was. I didn't need to dump my sexuality and gender problems onto my already struggling mother. I was well and truly alone. So when Tom sat next to me in our shared first period history class, it felt like I might have a friend. I was over the moon. He and I got along really well. We had similar senses of humor. We liked some of the same nerdy things. He was really nice to me, even if he was weird, but I was weird too. I've been working on a story for several months, and every morning when I came into class, I would give Tom the papers I had written the day before, which he would read over with excitement, actually. He even told me that since nobody really liked him anyway, he wasn't stressed about people ostracizing him because he was friends with the only openly queer person in our school. I felt like I'd finally found someone who cared about me and not my perceived flaws or struggles. When offered, I gladly accepted an invitation to sit with his friends at lunch. Any social outcast will tell you that lunch seating is one of the most stressful things in the world. If you don't have a group, you might have to sit by yourself, which is basically marking yourself as a social pariah. I had been desperate enough to be sitting with my sister and her friends at the time, which was almost as bad as sitting on my own. When kids in my grade invited me over, I jumped at the opportunity. Tom had a few weird friends, but the one that stuck out the most was Jake. He was just weird. He had a tendency to ramble on and on about nerdy things that he was passionate about, which, in general, I really don't mind. I mean, I kind of do the same thing. What bothered me, though, was whenever I tried to cut in and give an opinion, he would just keep talking like he hadn't heard me. He didn't do this to Tom, so I have to assume it was because I was a girl. He would also sometimes spend the entire lunch period staring at me quietly while I ate. I was really creeped out by this guy, but I didn't want to lose the two people who didn't seem bothered by my weirdness. So, as these stories usually go, both of these guys developed weird crushes on me. It was the Battle of the Beards, and it was going to get ugly. So let's start with Jake, since his story is wrapped up in a more innocent way than Tom's did. When prompted, I, of course, gave Jake the number of my crappy iPhone 4. Most of our interaction happened over text, seeing as Jake wasn't very comfortable speaking face-to-face. We text for hours about all kinds of nerdy topics, especially Doctor Who. Have you ever been stuck in a text conversation with someone, and every time your phone dings, you feel this pit of dread well up inside of you as you beg whatever gods there might be out there to make them leave you alone? I too have had exes, yes. That was about every day with Jake. I found him annoying, but there was no real behavior that I found threatening, only a gut feeling which I elected to ignore. Until one day, late in the spring semester, I found myself in a very uncomfortable conversation with him.
Hey, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, sure, what's up?
Well, you could say no, but I was just wondering, you want to see a dick pic?
No! Note, I'm 14 at the time and had never been offered a sexual image. For a solid 2 minutes, I was in utter shock, unsure of what to do, and finally I replied with, No, thank you.
Oh.
I mean, you're really nice, Jake. I'm just not comfortable with that, and I really don't see you that way. Jake then went on to throw himself a nice pity party, claiming that he was a horrible person for asking, and that he should just die already. I, of course, comforted him and encouraged this behavior. I know, dumb move, but I was a kid and I didn't know any better. After this incident, Jake seemed distant and unenthused about the idea of talking to me. I can't blame the guy. I was relieved when the year was over and he moved entirely to the general high school. I would see him in passing every once in a while, but he never really spoke to me, and I wasn't eager to start a conversation. That brings us to our more malicious tale. Tom. Tom was a good friend by this point in time, and I trusted him pretty implicitly. We were both part of the drama program in our school, so he easily bested Jake in the game for my affection. I even believed for a while that I might have a thing for him, but I was so desperately awkward and lacked so much confidence that I never really said anything. As a part of our drama program, we got to go on a trip to New York City to see a series of Broadway shows and participate in workshops with actors and musicians. It was a lot of fun, and I went on the trip 3 more times. It was especially exciting for those of us who had dreams of Broadway. Yes, I know, very glee of me, queer small-town kid, theater dreaming and singing on Broadway. Well, don't feel too bad because I have no idea what that means. I've never watched Glee. And before anybody says that I should, no. So Tom and I were over the moon. All was well for the first day of our trip, consisting of driving to the airport, taking our flight, arriving in New York late that night. Tom and I had been excitedly talking about our futures in the Big Apple and boarded the shuttle bus that would drive us from JFK to our hotel in Manhattan. This is where things get bad. We sat in the back of the shuttle together and settled in for the long drive. At some point during the ride, Tom's hand ended up on my thigh, and I laughed it off and hit him on the shoulder and told him not to do it again. 10 minutes later, he does it again. I was less gentle this time and told him, dude, knock it off. 10 minutes later, Tom's hand wasn't on my thigh, but shoved down my jeans. I was mortified. I was squashed in a bus with 30 other people, and I couldn't ask a single one of them for help. I was shocked into silence. Luckily, someone sitting next to me noticed what was happening and acted quickly. He stood, shoved me over, and sat between Tom and I. This traumatic event stayed in my mind for a while. I told my mother, but I did so in kind of a joking way, and she was dealing with enough stress already, so I guess it didn't process properly. Nothing came of it until 2 years later. At that point, Tom and I had begun to grow apart. We rarely had a class together, and no matter how much I tried to push away that night on the bus as a simple boys will be boys moment, something in my gut revolted about being near him. Cognitively, I had forgotten all about the incident in order to survive the friendship that I needed from him. Instinctively, I knew exactly what he had done. By the time I was a sophomore, I had managed to find new friends. They were and are some of my favorite people in the world, and I'm so grateful to them. I no longer needed Tom. Spring semester rolled around. One of my friends, who I'll call Lily, came running into drama rehearsal in tears. She locked herself in the bathroom and wouldn't talk to anyone. My mom was there, helping with the costumes, and she went to try to help. After 30 minutes, she emerged from the bathroom, white as a sheet. She hugged me and told me she was sorry. It wasn't until I was called into a conference room with the police that everything clicked in the back of my mind. I told them what happened. They were really nice. I was 16 at the time and wasn't needed to testify, but that didn't matter because they settled out of court. Because Tom's dad was a pretty well-off lawyer. He got away with fines and a trip to anger management. He did get expelled from school, so I didn't have to see him again. I know it's a bit of an unsatisfying end. The reality is that Tom is a rich white boy living in the South. If he assaults a few women, well, that's just boys being boys. I wish I could tell you that I got to punch him in the face, or that he got prison time, or that some sort of vengeance was achieved. I guess I got this. He attended my senior prom with one of the girls in my drama program, who I warned extensively. He wore an ill-fitting suit and had grown his hair out around shoulder length. It was disgusting, thick with grease, and you could see the receding hairline from the way the strands fell around his face. I, on the other hand, was wearing a tailored suit and premiering my identity as a boy to the school. Perhaps karma has given me this. I make a far better-looking man than Tom ever will. Thank you for reading this. I know it's long, and I hope you enjoyed these tales of beardiness. Oh, boy. Oh, Tom. Tommy boy. I realize that our wonderful writer, Baz, hasn't felt the need to say certain things, and I realize a lot of you don't. A lot of you don't say certain phrases and certain words, I guess, because it's not really in your vocabulary, or that's not really the kind of thing you do whenever you're angry. But allow me, as your favorite Uncle Moonhorse, to say them for you. I don't know who Tom is. Tom's a fucking asshole. Pure and simple. More than that, Tom's a fucking major asshole. I hope he lost all his hair. I hope he lost most of his hair, but just enough to give him that kind of George Costanza look, but not even the good one, because at least George could pull that off. I hope he has the kind of weird ring around his head that makes him look like some kind of weird monk, except that he's got the weird fat belly to go with it, because he didn't work out his core muscles enough, but seems to think that if he jogs around the block and winks at all the hot girls, that someday they'll think his dad vibe is totes hot. It's not. No one is interested. I hope he's the kind of guy who wears white shoes when he cuts the grass and they're all green, but he still likes to wear them to public functions because he thinks he's cool. I hope he's the kind of rich guy who buys an expensive sports car and thinks that he can use that to be the kind of person that everybody thinks is awesome, but the only thing anybody sees is a living human penis driving a Porsche. I hope he's the kind of guy who forever in his life thinks that he is the raddest motherfucker and that no one will ever challenge him because he grew up rich and he lives with mom and dad, or did what mom and dad do, and therefore thinks that he's settled for life. But everyone in the darkest corners and back rooms of the internet, the people who actually know shit, the people who are actually having fun, the people who are actually capable of understanding things around will always know that you, Tom, are a fucking asshole. I hope that helped you feel a little bit better. It definitely helped me. Times like that, I feel like we need to really just hit on those spot-on insults, and yeah, I really, really, really went for it. Fuck that guy. In fact, don't fuck that guy. Nobody fuck that guy. Ever. Period. I hope it shrivels off. Douchebag. But, with that being said, I am incredibly sorry that you had to go through all of that, because that's really fucked up and no one ever should. The first guy, weird, at least he was more awkward, shy, and mostly harmless. At least he asked and then, felt that his pride was wounded and was too embarrassed, I assume, to even speak ever again, so he just kind of went off. I don't know that he ever would have done anything worse, but still, I kind of see that as being maybe one of those things that that he may or may not have learned from. One of those things where it's like, wow, looking back on that, that was fucked up. I should probably never ask anybody that kind of shit again. Maybe Jake did grow into that kind of guy. I don't know, never met him. Tom, on the other hand, when you described a rich white boy from the South, oh yeah, I know the type. I live in this town. I've seen them everywhere. They all have really expensive, jacked up pickup trucks. They also somehow don't have jobs. Mom and Dad really, really wanted them to have that expensive Ford. With the loud pipes, or rather the loud cone around the tailpipe so it sounds like you have a bigger engine, but you don't, honey. You don't. Yeah, I'm well aware of people like that. And he strikes me as one of those people. Look on the bright side. It's been many years, and given the way that you described his action and the way he can't seem to handle certain things, I want you to always remember one important thing, and this goes for all of you who've ever had really, really negative experiences or horrible experiences with neckbeards and guys like that. These are the kind of guys who are super, super straight and super tough guy, because they have to assert themselves as a man, because that's what manly men do. When you're around 40, it is recommended by a lot of international health services that you should go through what is routinely known as a colon screening to make sure that you're not developing anything bad. Straight guys really, really dread that doctor's appointment. But they're gonna have to do it. It's not the best kind of revenge. It's just the kind of humiliation that they'll probably not get over for a really long time. Guys like that rarely do. Either way, thank you for sending us this wonderful story. I am sorry that you had to put up with all of that, but I'm glad that you're doing so much better and that things are better in your life. And that goes for all of you. I want you all to be wonderful and beautiful and amazing no matter what. No one can ever take that away from you. And if they try, hit them with a really big stick. I probably shouldn't have told you that. It's probably a really bad thing to do on a public platform, but you know what? I said it. I don't care. If you have a story you want to send me, you can send it to r/Moonhorse Stories, and I'll see it because I check it every day. And if you'd like to buy merch to support this channel, I would greatly appreciate that. It's in the link down below, as well as a couple of other things. I don't remember all of them. They're all good, though. You should check them out. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye!